Who do we need to talk about, Jarreau? I hear that Tennessee is on the verge of picking up Shamar Arnaud at the time of this recording. We don't know that that's official, but I think we can go ahead and speak to him as a player because I would be highly surprised if he didn't go to Tennessee. What's Tennessee getting with Arnaud?
Well, they're getting a defensive back that's capable of playing defense, which we know Tennessee is in desperate need of after watching last season. So you're getting a 6'1", 170-pound guy. On three holds him as a 4-star. 247 hasn't ranked him yet. He is a class of 2025 guy. So he's going to be a junior in high school. No, he's going to be a senior in high school next year. Wait, I have
He'll
that
be a
wrong.
junior.
I had it right the first time. He'll be a junior in high school next year. So he won't make it to Tennessee if that's where he commits for another 2 years. But the Vols seem to be a front runner for him here. Steve Wiltfong of 247 Sports put in a crystal ball for Arnaud to come to Tennessee. And, I mean, if you follow the visits, that's where he seems to be trending. He was on campus this past weekend. He got to watch the scrimmage, got to talk to Willie Martinez, who's somebody he's become very close with. And he also got to sit in on the DB meetings, which he told me that even though what they were talking about was kind of over his head and the terminology was different from his high school, he was still able to take some notes from what Willie Martinez was talking about and apply it to his own game. So he's another Georgia guy, which we've seen Tennessee have a lot of success with guys at Georgia. He goes to Alpharetta. He's from Alpharetta. He goes to Milton High School, so right outside of Atlanta. And if I was a betting man, I'd say he's probably going to be a Vol by the time noon rolls around.
Well, that's what Mr. Jones asked you. Are you coming to Tennessee? Yes or no? We all believe so. I think that's the case. And he is a 2025 guy. Jarreau actually wrote about an eighth grader at one point. So it's just a matter of time until we get a young man who's about to enter Presbyterian Creek Mother's Day out.
It seems so.
Like,
and I mean,
where does he go? Well, his parents are still searching for childcare.
And from what people are saying, it seems that commitments, you see that a lot in baseball and basketball, I guess to some extent, where people commit a lot earlier because there's limited spots. You know, you don't have. I mean, baseball has 11.7 scholarships, so if you get offered one, you're pretty sound in your decision. You're going to take that scholarship as soon as you can. And it seems like football is becoming the same way with the transfer portal. If you're offered a spot and you know that you want to go to that school, there's no reason really to wait, they might give your spot up. It's just the transfer portal and NIL money and basically the free agency of college sports has changed a lot of what used to be traditional.
Caleb, let me ask you this. Is Tennessee to the point where they don't have to extend early offers, that they can just say, hey, we're the Vols, we'll get in battles with Alabama and Georgia and win enough of them where we don't have to extend early offers? I say we, Tennessee. They don't have to extend early offers. They can just go toe-to-toe. Are they to that point? Or are they almost to that point?
I would say they probably still have to offer at the same time as your Georgias and your Alabamas or before, because a lot of what's winning Tennessee these recruits is not necessarily the campus or the facilities. It's more of the relationships they're building. So I worry that if they do come into a prospects recruitment late and they don't have the opportunity to build those relationships and kind of, build a connection with the prospect to where he considers Tennessee over, a school that just got 10 5-star commitments last cycle, that they wouldn't land him. So I don't think they're there yet. And honestly, I'm not 100% sure if they'll ever be there just from the landscape of college football. Like it seems like, your Georgia's, Ohio State's, Alabama's, they're kind of entrenched to where there's nothing knocking them off that. Like even if Tennessee beats Georgia one year, I still don't see Georgia getting knocked off that top role in recruitment or Alabama getting knocked off that number one spot. So I do still think that Tennessee's bread is buttered whenever they get into a recruitment early and they're able to build connections and build relationships like we see with Arnaud, where he talks about, Willie Martinez calls him once or twice a week just to check in, ask him about school, how football is going. So I think that's where Tennessee's recruitment thrives, and I think they'll probably continue to do
that. Caleb, I just wanted to jump in a little bit because Tennessee has 5 defensive backs that committed for 2023. They've already got 2 for 2024, and now they're targeting one we think is going to commit to Tennessee in 2025. Is this, we know they need defense, particularly the secondary. Is this desperation mode for Josh Heupel where he's just desperately trying to find somebody that could be a game changer at cornerback at this point?
Really, I think they're still rebuilding from what Jeremy Pruitt left this program in. Because if you remember last season, like the orange and white game, even if Neyland Stadium was available, like they couldn't do it because they didn't have a roster to field two teams to play against each other like they do this year. I mean, even in practice, you see the depth. It's way different. And Willie Martinez talked about it earlier this week. Like there's competition now. Last season, they had injuries and you had not a lot of depth to where there really wasn't much competition because whoever is healthy and can run full speed is probably playing that week because you didn't have very many options. I also think that by recruiting defensive players and defensive backs and putting a priority on those athletes, that they are trying to get away from the transfer portal. So like this year, we saw they brought in Gabe Judy Lolly, which is a good pickup, but I think they want to get away from having to do that every season to where Willie Martinez can get the defensive backs that he wants, not just any defensive back they can get, and then coach them the way he wants and kind of get this offense flowing how Tim Banks and him and get that aggressive mode of play that they want to play with a lot of depth.
It's funny you bring up Gabe Judy Lawley. Let me string this together for a second. Tennessee offense has recruits seeking them out. Well, Gabe Judy Lawley is a transfer who's going to play in the defensive backfield, but he said that he saw Tennessee's offense, and if the defense got a little better, could win a national championship. So it sounds strange, Jarreau, but Tennessee's offense wins even defensive recruits at points.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's a lot easier to play defense if you know you're going to have a touchdown lead every time you go out on the field. It gives you that little room for error, I guess. And also, when you look at Josh Heupel's system, that offense will keep you in almost any game that you play. I mean, we saw almost every game they won last year ended up becoming a shootout, and they were able to out-offense other teams like Alabama or like Florida in Neyland Stadium. So I do agree that, I mean, and it's also just a testament to Josh Heupel. Like his system wins football games with offense. And prospects and transfer portal guys want to play for winning teams. So Gabe Judulali talking about how the offense and Josh Heupel got him to come to Tennessee is just a testament that Tennessee is now seen as a winning program. It's no longer I'm coming to a 6-6, 7-5 team. It's you're going to be competing probably for first or second in the East almost every season now, and that's getting a lot of prospects in.
Yeah, so Caleb, let's talk a little bit more about who they're targeting for 2024. Looks like obviously Josh Heupel's got his quarterback. He's got I talked about defensive backs. Where do you think this class is going to start leaning heavily towards over the next month or so? Is there a particular unit or position that they're really trying to shore up?
I feel like with any cycle, you're going to see the line of scrimmage become heavy, especially since we haven't seen any commitments there yet besides edge rusher. And I think you have one defensive lineman in this class already, but I think you'll start to see a couple offensive linemen commit and a couple defensive linemen commit, just because I feel like the same way you say quarterbacks you should have one quarterback every cycle. I think you should also have at least a couple offensive linemen and defensive linemen every cycle, because that's where your games are won and lost in the SEC. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So, and we see one of those offensive tackles today that's announcing at 1:00 that Glenn Ellerby is really, really high on.
Interesting. But all that being said, recruiting other positions, Tennessee is still going to continue to recruit the best receivers in the nation. One would be James Madison, 4-star Florida receiver. And that's certainly one I would think to keep an eye on. He was scheduled to be in town, I believe, midweek, or did he move that to the end of the week? I don't know if you'd heard.
I think he had moved it. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but I know that with these wide receivers, Heupel is trying to get guys, it seems, that are more versatile with where they can play. So you see a lot more guys that are kind of like Dante Thornton, where they can go inside, outside. And James Madison is another guy that would fit that mold. Obviously, he's got a very, very large wingspan, a very, very large catch radius, which we also see Josh Heupel going after. And he's ranked as a 4-star, 6'3", 190. This is one that the big schools are after. So this is a guy that Tennessee could really flex the offense to. Like you could see, you could offer the kid, like, just theoretically, why would you go to Alabama where You don't know what the quarterback is going to look like. You don't know what that offense will look like, new offensive coordinator. When you can come to Tennessee where you have Joe Milton's probably going to be the starter this year. Then you have a 5-star who has 2 years left after him. And then you have another 4-star in Jake Merklinger who just committed in this class. So obviously Tennessee is putting an emphasis on quarterback. And if I'm a wide receiver, I want to go somewhere where I know the person who's throwing me the ball is capable. And even if they aren't capable with Josh Heupel's offense, I mean, they just have to get it in like a 5-yard radius and you're still wide open. So we talked about the battles earlier. I could see them winning battles on the offensive side because of the scheme, even if they aren't in as early with prospects, because, I mean, the offense really recruits itself.